Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches a todos. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Welcome back to Nerdy Muse. My name is Andy, and now it's time for the mea culpa. So, I had said I was going to read 4 books. 4 for Summerween, and I was going to do a vlog for all of them. So I did end up doing a vlog for the first 2 days in the first 2 books I did. So that was The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval and The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. I will link that up somewhere here so you can watch that if you want. And while I did read another book and a half, I didn't do a vlog for it. You know, life happens, things got crazy, I got hungry. I just forgot that I had to stop what I was doing in life and record my thoughts in the book, so I'm sorry about that. What I do want to do right now though is kind of talk about the book and a half I did read for the rest of Summerween, and then later on I'll do a video about what my TBR is going to be for August. And then I do want to just quickly mention the books I'm still going to try to finish this month, if at all possible. They're part of my TBR. If not, then they'll just roll right into August as well. All right, so the third book I read for Summerween was The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. It's a good book. The premise is good. So it follows a young teenage girl. Her name is Lauren, and she's coming of age. Her good friend is Miranda. They like to go out into the woods. They live in a small town in rural Illinois kind of a thing, and they like to go out to this ghost tree out in the woods since they were little and play. That stopped because the year before the story starts, Lauren's father was found dead there with his heart ripped out. So yeah, who wants to go back there? But actually Lauren does. She likes going back to the tree to play. The problem is Miranda's getting older, she's getting older, but she doesn't want to let go of that friendship she had. Part of that is because she has troubles at home. So her mother, she does not get along with her mother at all. And she has a 4-year-old little brother. His name is David, and he is the cutest thing. He loves his big sister very much. He almost kind of plays the part of the peacekeeper between Lauren and her mother Karen, but it's not always successful. So one day, this woman goes outside her back door, notices the smell, all these flies, and then sees this gruesome sight of the entrails and body parts all over the place, and she just starts screaming at the top of her lungs. David, the 4-year-old, Lauren's little brother, could hear this woman across town. He's got some powers. Lauren is walking through the woods and sees the 2 girls get butchered by this creature. So she's got some powers. So the rest of the story is pretty much Lauren trying to figure out what happened to these 2 young girls. David, her little brother, helps her out. You find out a whole bunch of stuff about Lauren and her family, which is actually really cool information. I'm not going to give any kind of spoilers here. It's a really cool story, really good premise. What I really didn't like about the story was it kind of felt disjointed in a few ways. So one of the subplots is you have a Mexican-American family from Chicago that moved in across from the woman who found the 2 butchered girls, and she's a bigot, she's a racist, and she blames them. So there's some racist undercurrents going on as a subplot. You have Miranda, who's Lauren's best friend, who is growing up rather quickly and noticing boys and the kind of trouble that gets her into. So that's another subplot. Now it all does tie together somewhat in the end, but it's not as seamless as it could be. So while I applaud Christina Henry for the story, again, it's a good premise. It is a good story. I think there could have been some more time, maybe editing a little bit more, trying to bring the plots closer together, really knit them tighter. It's just some of that disjointedness gives you some vertigo, some feelings of vertigo while you're reading the novel. So, or at least it did me anyways. However, with that said, it's still 3 out of 5 stars. It really is a good story. And if you see it out there, library, pick it up. It's an interesting read. It's not a scary kind of story that makes you afraid if you're reading it in the dark kind of thing. I wish it kind of did that, but it really doesn't. There is a murderous creature in there. It's not that scary just because it's more of a paranormal kind of thing. But, and you get that from the very beginning. There are no spoilers there. But it is still worth the read if you can find it. So the book I have not quite finished is Ghost Summer Stories by Tananarive Due. It's a collection of short stories, and I'm halfway through it. These stories are really, really good. So all the short stories feature African American protagonists, and there's a lot of callbacks to slavery. There's a lot of instances of racism in the stories, and the author uses those as a stepping point for the horror elements of her stories. And they are very, very good, I have to admit. I didn't really think I would enjoy a bunch of horror short stories, but these are good. Mind you, for the most part, these are not kind of stories that, if you're in the dark, are going to like freak you out. They're not that kind. They're more social narrative constructs. That's where the horror lies. And just, again, it goes back to the horror within each individual person. Doesn't matter what race you are, what you believe in, your age, gender, anything like that. Everyone has that darkness inside of them, and that's what she kind of brings out in her short story. So it's very, very good. Again, they are horror, but don't expect to be scared if you're reading this in the dark. All the stories are set in Gracetown, Florida, for the most part, or in and around that area. That's about around Tallahassee. So this fictional town is set around Tallahassee somewhere up in the panhandle of the state. Now, if you don't know Florida, Florida is swampland. It's deep south. So you had the legends of the Native Americans who were here before, like the Seminoles. You do have the creatures in the swamp, snakes, alligators, the things that go bump in the night. And you've got the ghosts that just haunt the South in general. Whether that's because of slavery and racism, or the massacres and forced misplacement of Native American populations of the state. But then when you join all of that with the heat of the state and just the general swampiness of the state, and I mean swampy like literal, it's swamp area around here, you really get some great atmosphere for some really creepy stories. And she really drives home with that. All right, so those were my last 2 reads for Summerween. Currently, I am reading Malice by John Gwynne, which is back over here. I just put it back in the shelf. Now, it's a thick book, really thick book. I'm just a little bit in. I don't think I'm going to finish it this month. I'm going to try, but I'm not going. Look, you know what? I finished watching Stranger Things and season 4, fell in love with it, and of course, because I am who I am, now I'm on YouTube watching other people react to it, and that's kind of how I spend a lot of my time when I really should be reading, but sue me. But I am going to try and get through Malice, and then if I can finish up July that way, then great. If not, that's going to take me into August, and I will do an August TBR here at some point. And I do want to do something fun for August, instead of just, TBR videos and halfway done readathon videos. I do want to try and do something fun. So I am going to pour myself a drink in a little bit, some nice bourbon, thank you very much, and get my notebook out and try to figure out what kind of fun reading prompts or challenges I can give myself. There are a few other readathons out there, but whenever I try and do those, I just never finish. So I'm going to try and come up with one of my own and see if I can do it. We'll see. But until then, thank you all for sticking with me this far. I hope you guys pick up either The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry or Ghost Summer Stories by Tananarive Due. They're great. Or even The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval, or Agatha Christie's The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. Both excellent choices. So until next time, thank you all so much. Keep well fed, stay cool, and keep reading. Adios.